Just the best way to jump into this is people may not necessarily know your name, but if they read writers' credits, they know who you are. You're on some huge records.
Yeah, it's been a good run, and I hope it's not over with yet. I'm still getting cuts out there, but you know, I've been in town. Next month will be 132 years.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? So we call it PG, pre-guard. Yeah.
You've had some just massive cuts. And back when they actually paid real money.
Yeah, I about bled out on some of those cuts. Conway, the Dirt Band, Chris Ledoux, some guy named Chris Christopherson, Randy Travis.
You wrote for Christopherson.
Yeah, that was a good day. He actually left a message on my voice machine back then. We had voice machines telling me that they had changed the lyric in my song and wanted to know if it was okay. The funniest question I've ever heard. Sure.
We talk about big names, and when I asked you if you wanted to do this, you said, well, I got a co-write at 10:30 with Mark McGuinn, but I'll bump it. And I'm thinking, I've never bumped Mark McGuinn.
Mark, well, you know, it's 11 o'clock songwriter time, so that means noonish.
Yeah.
I don't think creativity starts until after your 8th cup of coffee or your first beer, so whichever comes first.
And in Texas, it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've made the transition from being primarily a writer to now being an artist.
Yeah, I started off with watercolors, got into
Yeah.
No, I've been playing. I started off in the UK and Ireland last year, and playing all over Scotland and Ireland, and had a ball. We had a number 1 on the UK chart for 3 weeks over there. And then I kept wanting to go to Texas. You know, I kept feeling the draw to Texas. We played the Panhandle up there and went to Plainview because we had a song on the record called Plainview. Had a big show up in Plainview, Texas. And then just by luck, I went to San Angelo and did a show, met some folks, met a great lady named Kay Ellis, and her and her daughter Brandy, and they've been great to us. And kind of made that my base out of San Angelo. And you know, the first night I walked into a honky-tonk in San Angelo and saw 50 cowboy hats on the dance floor, and they were all dancing. I felt at home. I really did. You wear a cowboy hat in Nashville, you look out of place, unless you can wear it backwards. If you can wear your cowboy hat backwards, you look kind of broke. So.
You say that as a joke, but I was watching on the ID channel. They had one of those reenactments, and it was supposed to be a Texas Ranger. He had his Stetson on back.
They don't know.
They don't know.
Of course, the new hat act on music grows a hard hat.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, Texas has been, not only the people are great, but if you're in Texas, you're going to get influenced by the feels, the sounds, the Tejas, the food, the people. The one thing I can tell you about Texas that I love the most is that in Nashville, everybody's trying to be somebody, and I respect that. In Texas, they know who they are, and they're not trying to be anybody, and I love that about them. And I love Nashville. They're all trying to make their way through this crazy maze of music, but in Texas, they're just pretty solidified in who they are, and you absorb all that settling stuff, and you feel comfortable in your own skin over there.
I think the best way I ever heard it described was Ray Wiley Hubbard. And Ray Wiley Hubbard said, in Nashville, as a songwriter, you get up in the morning, you have a co-write. You have lunch, in the afternoon you have a co-write. And at night you're playing a writer's round or co-writing. And in between all that, you're trying to pitch your songs. In Texas, you wake up around 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Maybe write a song, maybe not. He said in Nashville, it's a way of life, and in Texas, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, I think in Texas, you're trying to write because you want to write this song. In Nashville, you're trying to write to pay your bills. You know, in the gigs that I'm playing in Texas, they're not big venues. I'm just doing acoustic shows right now. I don't have the draw right now to take a band over there. But we're on the charts with the new single, the current single called Jesse and Her Outlaw, a tribute to Jesse Coulter and Waylon Jennings. And it's doing really well. And surprisingly, they're playing me in, I think, something 30, 40 radio stations. And The thing about the Texas chart, of course, is that if they're playing you in Texas, there's people in Texas listening to you because they only listen to Texas country and red dirt country over there. They're not very absorbed with mainstream country, so I'm getting listened to.
That's great.
Yeah, and like I said, it's influenced my writing a lot. I was telling you about a song I wrote the day that Guy Clark passed away, one of my buddies, one of my heroes. And I actually was in Monaghan, Texas, where I was from the day that he died, and it influenced the song that I wrote that will be on the new record.
So, just before we get to the new stuff and what you're doing, you've been in Nashville for 32 years, so you've seen the change. Well, not just the change, but all the changes that are going on. How has that affected you as a writer?
You know, I recently was given a book called The Outlaws, and it's an amazing book. And I can't tell you the writer's name and stuff, but it's called The Outlaws, and it's about Waylon, Willie, Chris, Tom Paul, and all those people. And it's a bird's eye view of what happened from 68 to 79, somewhere in there, and the whole Texas movement, how Waylon and Willie fought the system. And the system, regretfully, was Chet Atkins and RCA, and all the productions back then were done the same way, same players, same string arrangements, and Waylon and Willie wanted to cut their own stuff with their own band and stuff, and were obviously told they couldn't. Christopherson came on the scene, couldn't get arrested, or he actually could get arrested, but he couldn't get cuts. But he started writing that sort of stuff, and they had this bond, and they all kind of hung out in Mary John Wilkinson's house and Hank Cochran's place, and they started writing that music, and everything changed, and they started writing what felt good to them. And I see that happening right now in Nashville. I see this outbreak of people going, man, I don't want to write that. I want to write the good stuff, you know. And so I see these writers at these writer shows, and they're writing some really great songs. And I tell them, great writers, good writers chase trains, and great writers wait for the train to come back over. Because it always does. It
always does. You look at, we've interviewed Jake Worthington before, who was a kid that was on The Voice, on Blake's team. And when he was cutting his stuff, it was, I want to do Mark Chestnut kind of stuff. So all these kids are being influenced by all the honky-tonk greats.
Yeah.
And they're not looking back to what was happening 10 years ago. They're looking back to the 90s.
And what's funny is when I go out and play a show, people go, man, that's what I want to sound like, that 90s kind of sound. And I always say, it's not a 90s kind of sound anymore. It's a new kind of sound. If you cut it, it's now the new sound, you know, because I see a lot of these young girls out there, and they are patterned right after Loretta Lynn, not after Patti Loveless, but all the way back to Patsy Cline, Patti Lynn, or Loretta Lynn, and they're retro.
Yeah.
You know, whereas if a 60-year-old person did them, they'd be dated, but if a 22-year-old girl wants to sound like Loretta Lynn, she's cool.
Yeah.
You know, and I see that in Texas, and I'm seeing it here. And I think they pattern themselves after Musgrave and Sonny Sweeney, people like that. So, and kudos to the girls out there. They're writing great stuff and cutting great stuff.
And doing, as a female, doing the Texas music circuit, that's a tough gig. That's a really tough gig.
But there's a lot of fresh air out there. Aaron Lewis,
yeah.
Obviously Chris Stapleton, John Party. These guys are going to make some country records, and it makes me feel good. And I'm waiting for that next Marshall Tucker band to come along.
Yeah.
You know, something like that Commander Cody type band. That would be the next thing. I really believe the Lumineers type sound, Civil Wars type sound, with a country twang, a la Graham Parsons type thing. So I think that's coming.
I think somebody, I can't remember who, described kind of the musical period we're in for country music. If you kind of compare it to hair metal, and we're on the edge of grunge coming in.
More like disco.
Yeah.
I really compare the last 5 years of country music to the disco, because I hate to say this, and I'm jaded, but because I've been around so many great writers, but 5 years from now, these songs that have been number one for the last 5 years won't be remembered. They won't be remembered in the way that A House That Built Me was, I Swear, or songs like that. And when I ask the young writers, what's your favorite song in the last 5 years, they always go back to I Swear, Drink a Beer, songs like that, you know. So the Tailgate, Painted on Blue Jeans songs, I think I'm happy that those guys had those hits and stuff, but I think that they're going to start digging a little deeper themselves. So.
Cool.
I hope so. Because, I mean, I like writing road country because it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's a stretch for me. It's just like when I write heavy metal with Mark Slaughter or something, it's a stretch. And it's fun. And I always tell my writers in my workshops to get out of your zone. Get out. If you hate blues, write blues. If you hate rap, write a rap song. It'll make you a better writer. But stay true to what makes you feel good. Because at the end of the day, you got to put that guitar away and you got to take a shower, and hopefully some of that craziness will wash off. Because you get up in the morning, if you're not writing what turns your heart on, then you're just drawing paychecks.
Yeah. And you've written over the years huge songs for huge artists, and you've always stayed true to what you do as a writer.
Yeah, I mean, but I love, I write with a young guy here in town, AJ Cross, amazing writer, new artist, and he brings those new feels, and I can get him with a hit writer like Frank Myers and myself or Moose Brown, and we bring the craft that we've had for 20, 30 years, and we apply it to the new feel, and so we got a little bit of both. We got the young sound, but you have to stay true. I mean, if you've got something that works, if it's not working, by all means, play around with your melodies, change your lyrics, change your ideas. To me, that's the weakest part of the songs that I'm hearing right now, and that includes some in Texas, is I'll hear this great song, a great feel, and it gets to the hook, and I'm like, what? What? You know, so the days of great hooks have kind of taken a time out, you know, like Wish You Were Here, and Don't Laugh at Me, you know, He Walked on Water. Those great hooks, you know, are kind of missing right now. And I love when I play a song out and it gets to the hook and they go, you know. So I think that's important. You dig a little deeper. I think you can always dig a little deeper. And the best way to get great song ideas is drive from Monahan, Texas to Dallas, Texas.
You got time to think.
You got time to come up with ideas, you know. So, a nice thing about that drive, you can take your hand off the wheel and just, because there's so much road out there, it doesn't matter, you know. But
nothing you're going to hit.
You're not going to hit anything.
A couple armadillos.
A couple armadillos, yeah. Why is it the armadillos can make it all the way from East Texas, but they can't cross Highway 7? I don't understand.
Hit us with a song.
All right, let's see if I can remember this one. Got 4 hours sleep in an old truck stop outside of Monahan. West Texas, the wind was howling like a Gulf Coast hurricane. Got a show tonight in Dallas, probably make it there by noon. I'll play 4 tips, be lucky if I make a buck or 2. So it ain't for the money, and it ain't for the fame. Gotta be chasing down this highway in this early morning rain. So I'll keep going, knowing that it's no use, 'cause there ain't enough Texas to get me over you. There's a picture in my mind somewhere of the night we first met. You were drinking Tangerine, asked me for some Jerry Jeff. Then we fogged up the windows out behind the bar that night, thinking about how good it was. Just keeps messing with my mind. So it ain't for the money, and it ain't for the fame. It's got me chasing down this highway in this early morning rain. So I'll keep going, knowing that it's no use, 'cause there ain't enough Texas to get me over you. Now I could drive from Texarkana out to El Paso just to find this pain inside. Ain't ready to let go. So it ain't for the money, sure ain't for the fame. It's got me chasing down this highway clear across this Lone Star State. So I'll keep going, knowing that it's no use. There ain't enough Texas to get me over you. No, there ain't enough Texas. That's a whole lot of Texas to get me over you.
That's sweet. That's a great song. Now see, I can see you doing that at Larry Joe Taylor Fest, and everybody in the audience just sing along with it.
Yeah,
That's a great song.
It just stirs me. And, you know, we're pitching it to some Texas artists, but I hope we put it on the new record and stuff. But I just love it. It makes me feel good. And we cut a track on it over in Mary Hill. Here in Nashville, it's wrong, sorry, but it's a good track.
That's a great song. Now, let's kind of go on to new stuff. You mentioned you've got a book.
I got a book. It's called Honky Tonk Angels. It started probably about 3-4 years ago, and I'm a Christian. And if anything I've learned in the last 32 years, next month, is that
Should we get you a card?
yeah,
Okay.
is that without God's grace, the greatest songs in country music just sit there. And it's not that they're not all blessed and they're not anointed. It's just that His timing is all that matters. His timing is perfect. So the book is, first of all, about God and His timing in the music business. Second of all, the amazing journey that some of the greatest songs in country music in the last 50 years have taken to become Hall of Fame songs and end up in music in the Hall of Fame. And they're just amazing stories. Some of the songs that are in the book go back as far as The Boy Named Sue, Shel Silverstein, Mac Davis in the Ghetto, Alex Harvey, Delta Dawn, my friend Cindy Jordan from San Angelo with Jose Cuervo, all the way up to current songs like I Want to Be Your Friday Night with Eric Cassidy, Rose Falcon, and Rob Crosby. The House That Built Me, On the Other Hand, The Dance, Lucille, The Gambler, If You're Going Through Hell, just amazing songs. And one of the reasons I wrote the book is in the dedication. I've dedicated the book to 5 of my friends and heroes that we've lost in the last couple of years. Wayne Carson, who wrote You Are Always on My Mind, Red Lane, Miss Emily's Picture, I Wear My Own Kind of Hat, Larry Henry, Wind Beneath My Wings, Don Fremer wrote all the big Lone Star songs, and Paul Kraft, who wrote Drop Kick Me Jesus and Brother Jukebox. Those guys were all agreed to be in the book, and I never got around to interview them in time. We recently just lost Rich Fagan. Rich is in the book. He wrote Sold the Grundy County Auction. A lot of these people weren't here. They couldn't tell me their stories, so I had to find people outside of them. Joe Galani, that ran RCA for years, sent me an email telling me his side of the story on Keith Whitley's passing, the resurrection of his album Don't Close Your Eyes, and how they processed changing producers, and some amazing stories there. The Lucille story, how it was happened over a poker game, and how if a certain record publisher or a song publisher hadn't had a procedure done at a hospital, a certain nurse wouldn't have met him, and he wouldn't have went on to write a song called Friends in Low Places and get recorded because of the connection those two made in the hospital. How two hit writers wrote a song in the middle of the night on Music Row when they wouldn't have normally been there, and how because they wrote it in the middle of the night, nobody else was there, and a certain producer heard the song through the air ducts down another floor down and cut it the next day on Hank Jr. Just amazing stories. They're in the book. And Honky Tonk Angels, it's up for pre-order right now on Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Amazon. My website has it at BernieNelson.com, where you can pre-order a book and have the autograph shipped to you. But the book has taught me so much. One, stories I thought I knew that I didn't know, all the parts of the story. The dance, I'm very close to that song and that story. I met Garth when he was selling cowboy boots, invited him to come do a show with us, and we both heard the dance together for the first time. That's in the book. And my first encounter with what I call Honky Tonk Angels was at Mac McAnally's house in Muscle Shoals in '78 or '79, when he played me a song called Old Flame that Alabama went on to record, but was on hold for Ronnie Millsap. And I was sure that it was supposed to be a Millsap song because some new band signed to RCA shouldn't cut it because Millsap was big stuff back then. Honky Tonk Angels knew better, and that new band cut it and went on to be a big deal. So. But it's going to be a really cool thing for me to get out and do a book signing and tell these stories about the book. It's really great.
That's a really different way of writing than what you would be used to doing as a songwriter.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, though, I take, you got to start a chapter, so it's just like starting a song. How do you want to start the song? And most of my songs, I want to grab their attention right out of the chutes, and got 4 hours sleep in an old truck stop outside of Monahan. So I started the song like that, rather than say, Texas is a great big state, and I'm driving through it, and I miss you.
Yeah.
So I try to paint a little bit of canvas into it and some details into the song. And the same thing with the book. And if you're going through hell, keep on going. I go all the way back to Winston Churchill and the Blitzkrieg taking place in the UK, and what Churchill said, if they're going through hell, they need to just keep going.
Yeah.
And how I really believe that God knew that when Winston Churchill said that in 41 or 42, that he knew full well that Sam Tate would pick that line up some 70 years later and put it in a song. I really believe that. I also believe that when Rob Crosby got to town in '84 like I did, that the last thing on his mind was Eric Pasley was being born in Abilene, Texas, and that 2 years later Rose Falcon would be born in New York City, and that 20-some years later they would write I Want to Be Your Friday Night. It wasn't on his mind, but it was on God's game plan. He already had it figured out. So all the stories have to have a start, and they have to have more than just an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, how the song got written. So I do put some songwriting stuff into it. In other words, I tell a story about the song. That was always fun, coming up with a story for the song. So,
Do you think it makes you a better songwriter, delving into the history of these songs and telling the story of them with people?
well, I think it makes me a more confident songwriter, because the more you read these stories, The House That Built Me was rewritten for 7 years. Here's two hit writers, Tom Douglas, Alan Shannon, both very accomplished writers. Little Rock and I Can't Make You Love Me, for example. They're both great songwriters. So why would it take two hit writers 7 years to write that song? And talking to Alan Shannon, he said we'd overwritten the song. We just couldn't figure out what we wanted to take out of the song, and we had too much stuff in the song, and we finally went back and trimmed it up and made it what it became. And then God's timing stepped in, and they pitched it to Blake Shelton, who pitched it to his then wife, and the rest is history. So it teaches me, like I said, the timing and the confidence to know that if it's a good song, just keep pitching it, and at the same time just keep writing great songs. And that doesn't mean you can't write a Red Solo Cup.
Which has a great story in and of itself.
Yeah. And I always tell people that my favorite Garth Brooks song is The Dance. The biggest Garth Brooks song is Friends in Low Places. My favorite Kenny Chesney song is The Good Stuff. And the biggest Kenny Chesney song is She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy. So you always have to have, as artists, you have to have a touchy-feely. Then you have to have one of those songs you can just sing along for 30 years, an anthem. And as a songwriter, you had better have both those wrenches in your toolbox. Otherwise, you're like a pitcher that just has a fastball and he doesn't have a splitter or a curveball. And everybody needs a splitter and a curveball in their drawer of stuff to have. So as a songwriter, you'd better have a 5 o'clock somewhere in there. At the same time, you'd better have a house of melody in there.
It's great hearing a consistent story from different writers. 2 days ago, I interviewed the guys from Exile. And J.P. Pennington and Sonny Lane are just huge writers. And they're saying exactly the same thing, is how you have to have Kiss You All Over, and then you have to have the other stuff, too.
Yeah. Sonny's in the book. Sonny and I go way back. Sonny, of course, wrote When She Cries with Mark Beeson, and another amazing story, And it's not just how they got written, but how they got recorded, how they got bumped off a record, put back on a record, So the book is fascinating. At the same time, like you said, it's making me a better writer. It's making me breathe in, breathe out, and not get so anxious about why isn't this getting cut or why isn't that getting cut. And just, I guess it gets down to faith. Faith in yourself as a writer, and faith in yourself now for me as an artist. I have to believe that what I'm doing in Texas will go over, and that I will somehow get above that incredible cream that's in Texas and become a stable artist in the Texas markets.
Well, we'll get your new single, and we'll get it on the radio show and get you worldwide with that puppy.
That'd be cool. Can I play it now?
Yeah, let's hear it. Great way to wrap it up.
Well, I live my life somewhere between Jack and Jesus, between Folsom Prison Blues, and I saw the light. And I know I'm washed in the blood, and I'm a believer. Nobody gets out of this crazy world alive. So I hope there's a honky-tonk in heaven. And if there's a bar, I hope they've stocked it well. Well, I hope there's a honky-tonk in heaven, 'cause when I get there, I'm gonna raise a little hell. That whistle blows, you know where I'll be going, back to where those neon angels know my name. If I die tonight, well, I know I'm forgiven. Hey, St. Peter, if it's all the same. Sure hope there's a honky-tonk in heaven. And if there's a bar, I hope they've stocked it well. Yeah, I hope there's a honky-tonk in heaven. 'Cause when I get there, I'm gonna raise a little hell. Come on. Well, when I get there, I'm gonna walk right up to old Whalen, buy him a drink and maybe bum a light. And I know dang well even Jesus likes a good time, 'cause he's the one that turned that water into wine. So I hope there's a honky-tonk in heaven. And if there's a bar, I hope they've stocked it well. I sure hope there's a honky-tonk in heaven, 'cause when I get there, I'm gonna raise a little hell. Yeah, when I get there, I'm gonna raise a little hell.
Very nice. One of the best things about doing what I do is I get to interview friends and sit here and listen to friends do great music, and it's a pleasure. Real pleasure.
And I love where this is going, because I love being over there in the
Yeah.
UK, and I love being my Canadian friends. There's some awesome music up there.
Well, thanks for being with us, Bernie. Good luck on the tour. You're a singer, you're a songwriter, and now you're an author. Congratulations.
Problem is, I'm on this crash diet. I've got like another week on this diet. You bring me the Pie Wagon.
I know.
Not easy stuff. But thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Nashville Access, thanks for watching us.